Most of the time when people think about cars, they think about how well they drive or how fast they can go. But ironically, the stopping part is the most important because it'll save your life. Now, the heavier your vehicle is, the harder it can be to stop. So when you decide to put thousands of dollars of upgrades and cool looking things on a 25-year-old vehicle, you may need to upgrade your brakes for the little extra weight you may be carrying around. To elaborate on this a little bit, I have a 1997 4Runner, and I'm building this thing into an off-road beast that'll take me anywhere I want to go. There will be extra weight added to this machine during the build, so I'll be upgrading the brakes to Toyota Tundra brakes. Now this is a pretty known trick that you can do to give your 4Runner extra braking power and help those front brake pads and rotors last a little bit longer. It's a pretty simple install, so I'm going to show you every step of the process that I did to put these brakes on my 1997 4Runner. Now before I show you this process, I want you to subscribe to this channel. Hit that subscribe button for me, and while you do, go in the description and look for my email. And if you have any questions about this process or any car questions in general, feel free to email me at justcallme81@gmail.com and I'll help you out as much as I can. Now first, let's go over the parts you will need to do this upgrade to your 3rd Gen 4Runner. Now it doesn't matter where you get these parts from, but it's important to know you'll be ordering parts for a 2001 Toyota Tundra with 13 WL calipers. And that's the first thing you'll need, is a set of front calipers that are 13 WL. Then of course you're going to need a set of pads and a set of rotors as well. And then I also recommend extended brake lines, and these are optional but recommended if you have a lift. It is also recommended that you put Toyota brake shims in between the pad and the caliper. Now, I won't be doing that in this video because it's not 100% necessary, and it really just reduces on noise as the brakes wear. Alright, so we got new calipers, pads, and rotors here off a 2001 Tundra. That's what I ordered these for. And you can see already that you got bigger pads, the caliper's a little bigger itself, the pistons in the caliper are a little bigger. Overall, just a bigger setup and a lot more braking power. So it's a bigger upgrade, nice upgrade here. Now, when you're doing this upgrade, one thing that, there's a lot of people online to tell you how to do this, so I'm not going to be the first one to show you this. But one thing that a lot of people fail to mention is you need to trim your brake shield, because that caliper will not go on without trimming your brake shield. So we're going to have to cut some of that brake shield off to get that on. And they also don't tell you how to line the springs up on the caliper, because it's a different spring setup than your 4Runner brakes. And usually that's the best way to tell how it comes off. But this is how it goes on. And these pins go through just like on the 4Runner setup. But you have cotter pins on the end to hold those in. And then this is your spring that goes in here that pushes the pads back out when you release. And that's how it goes in. And it goes in on the top part of the caliper. So we're putting this one on the passenger side. So it's going to sit in there on the top part of the caliper. Be sure you do that. Get everything right. That way you don't have to do it again. Alright, we're going to cut this shield a little bit. I'm going to cut it like right down here just to be sure. And we're going to cut it probably like right up here. Probably right along that, just to get enough space for this Oh yeah, that's perfect. Maybe cut a little too much, but who cares? Alright, new rotor. Not drilled and slotted, but again, who cares? Now I want you to look at this picture and tell me what mistake I have made so far, and you may make the same mistake yourself when installing these new calipers. So I messed up on this caliper because I put the wrong one on the wrong side. This one is supposed to go on this side, and the reason I know that is because the bleeder goes up top. Doesn't make any sense for the bleeder to go down below because you're not going to push any air out from the bottom. So we're swapping these around. Now we're gonna That's what I thought. Just like so. I mean, I could have bought, the expensive ones, the expensive calipers, but I feel like they're all the same shit, you know what I'm saying? I don't feel like they're any different just because they're more expensive. So that's why we went with O'Reilly's Brake Best. Let's see how long they last, huh? See how long they last. I just gotta remember when I order brakes for this thing, it's for an 01 Tundra now. On the front. Alright, now we're in there. That's right. Everything's right now. We got the right caliper on the right side. The left caliper is gonna go on the left side. We got our rotor on, we got pads in. We're able to bleed, we got our brake lines hooked up. Alright, everything looks great, we're good. Now the process is exactly the same on the driver's side. It's pretty simple. Instead, I did it differently. I took the whole spindle off, and the reason I did that is because I was replacing the suspension, and you could check that out in another video that's on my channel. Now it's not any easier to do it that way with the spindle off. I would definitely leave the spindle on and just remove your calipers, rotors, and pads, replace those, and if you have a lift, get some extended brake lines off of SRQ Fabrications. That's where you can get those brake lines, or you can get them anywhere. I don't care where you get them, but that's where I got mine. Now the big question you're probably asking yourself, is this upgrade worth it? And I will tell you that it absolutely is. I feel like I have way more control of my vehicle and a whole lot more stopping power. In my next couple of videos, I'll be installing things like an off-road bumper and a winch onto this vehicle, so it's going to be adding a significant amount of weight, and I am glad to have this upgrade so I can have enough stopping power to handle the extra weight I'm going to be carrying around. But even without that weight, on all my future 3rd Gen 4Runner builds, I'll be doing this upgrade because it's just the smart thing to do. I'm not sure why they didn't do this when they originally built these vehicles, but it's definitely the thing you should be doing if you own one now. The overall cost of this upgrade is very cheap. You can probably get all these parts for under $400. And the installation doesn't take much fabrication or modification at all, just cutting the brake shield a little bit, which I did using a pneumatic cutoff wheel, but you can use doing anything. My pneumatic cutoff wheel was from Harbor Freight and it only cost about $150. So even with that, you could still be under $500 pitting all of these parts on your vehicle and make it a whole lot safer in the future. Speaking of being a lot safer, in our next video, we're going to be replacing the most failed part on the 3rd Gen 4Runner, which is the lower ball joint assembly. Now we're also going to be doing the inner and outer tire rods, and I'm going to show you how to install those and how we're going to realign the vehicle using a rope, a 2x4, and a level. We're going to call it the poor man's alignment, and we're going to see how close we can get it to spec. And my project does not stop there. We're also going to be building, welding together, and installing an off-road bumper with a winch on this thing. And once we get all that put together, get everything lined up, we're going to take this thing on the trip of a lifetime and test it out durability-wise. Now, we're not going to go crazy with it, but we are going to see how well this thing is built and how much it can handle as far as road trip-wise goes, and maybe a little bit of off-roading. Stay tuned for all that, and be sure to subscribe to this channel so you do not miss any of it. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook, where I try to post weekly content about the day-to-day things that I do. We're also on Patreon now, where you can support me and help me make these videos for the low cost of a gallon of gas per month. Thanks for watching, and whatever you do, however you do it, make sure you work hard, make sure you play hard, and most importantly, make sure you stay dirty. You can just call me Eddie.